Modernisms and Methodologies. 1. Arts of Modernism. So it's a suggestion that as you work on this class and the material offered in this class, that you try to develop your cat attitude. That is, learn to be relaxed like a cat. This course involves a lot of reading. You don't have to read everything in the same amount of detail. The idea is that you're looking for things that interest you in this material. And there is, of course, some required reading beyond this exploratory reading. But it's two different kinds of reading that you need to be doing. Much of this reading for the course is exploratory. So you read quickly and you stop and slow down and study those things that interest you the most. This is the required text for the course. If you do not wish to buy the book, that's no problem. You simply find the piece and cantos in the Cantos of Ezra Pound in the library. Please read this text before week 5 of the course for the first time. It's expected that you'll probably reread this text a couple of times. You won't understand everything, but there's no need to worry about that. Modernist texts are challenging. So again, tips for success here. Keep reading. Don't be put off by the text, but be quite happy to read them quickly and not to worry about whether you understand everything or not. Do slow down when you like something. You might want to try and study it a little bit, look it up, see how other people have analyzed it in the past. The final exam for this course will give you an opportunity to write about some of the texts that you personally enjoy, as well as writing about the required reading texts, the Wasteland, and the Piece and Cantos. So this first class is about the visual arts. It was going to be also about performing arts and modernist manifestos, which are part of the reading requirements for this course. But I've tended to focus primarily just on the visual arts. So while Impressionism isn't stricto sensu modernism, it is a revolution in painting that maintains a popularity through the modernist period. And to remind you of Impressionism, here's a few paintings. Claude Monet gave paintings to the French state in 1918 to celebrate the end of World War I. And as you know, that set of paintings was installed at the Orangerie and opened in 1927 to the public. So Impressionism does run into modernism. There's also the arts and crafts movement of the 1860s to the 1890s. And this movement is quite interesting, covering as it does the Belle Époque into the earliest years of modernism. The aestheticism, art for art type of mindset, where you would collect various objects that were attractive and set them up in your home. So later we'll probably see paintings of mantelpieces in Bloomsbury, and this seeking out of special objects, one might say, comes also right out of this movement, aestheticism. Here's already a mantelpiece in Bloomsbury in an abstract form, but there are many such paintings. Art Nouveau. If you've ever been to Nancy, you've encountered Art Nouveau, and you're quite aware of Art Nouveau. But Art Nouveau was taking place in various cities around Europe. This is post-impressionism, neo-impressionism. This painting is found in the Art Institute of Chicago. More post-impressionist paintings. The Nabis. Notice the use of color and the way greens come into prominence in the very last years of the 19th century and first years of the 20th century. Also with the fauve. Expressionism. Egon Schiele was based in Vienna. An expressionism that also portrays the horrors of war, as you can see in the Kirchner self-portrait as a soldier. Cubism. Cubism, stricto sensu, also modernism. So on the left, you see Georges Braque, Port en Normandie, representing Le Havre. Picasso's favorite model for a time, Fernande, Femme au Poire, 1909. So Metzinger was one of the people that gave some early criticism of Cubism and helped to establish its characteristics, and also painted himself in this way. Orphic Cubism occurred when artists decided to focus on adding very strong, bright color to the work. We have this magnificent example of poetry and painting merging in La prose du Transsibérien de la Petite Géante de France, which was an art book that appeared in 1913. There have been reprints of this work. Perhaps some of you are aware of this poem. You will be able to see it in the text for this week. Art Deco picked up on that, and you can see that for some people, Art Deco was supposed to be part of a total atmosphere. The Hotel Jacques Doucet in Neuilly tried to create that magic Art Deco atmosphere. For others, Art Deco was involved in also the fabrication of objects, such as jewelry. And with Sonia Delaunay, it was transported to clothing and fabric. Futurism. Has a painted dog ever been more alive than Giacomo Balla's? You can sense the movement. Many futurist works, however, are more military in the way they feel. The violence, the sharp angles of machinery moving. So these paintings are a subset, in a sense, strong colors and organic aspect of them to some extent. Dada. So this was a movement which intended to shock in some respects, reacting toward World War I and the loss of life, And many different means were used. Hugo Ball reciting a sound poem, Elsa van Freytag Loringhoven dressing in a most eccentric manner. That photo would have been taken in New York City. Marcel Duchamp creating a ready-made. The style followed upon that and was primarily in the Netherlands and then spread a little bit. You see again bright colors, and Piet Mondrian's early paintings have very abstract and bright colors. Precisionism is related to American painters, Charles de Muth especially. This particular painting, after Sir Christopher Wren, makes allusion to Christopher Wren, the builder of British churches, especially after the Great London Fire of 1666, where a third of the city burned. But this church painted is not a Christopher Wren church. It's a Methodist Episcopal church in Provincetown, Massachusetts. So in Precisionism, the use of ruled lines and geometric forms relates it in perhaps a distant way to Cubism, but the intent is to depict architecture in many cases and to show light. Surrealism. Most people are familiar with Magritte's Ceci n'est pas une pipe, but it's actually called La Trahison des Images, and the colors of the original painting are not the same as in this slide. So one example of a British painter, Mark Gertler, 1891 to 1939. He was from a family of immigrants, and his family was relatively poor, so it took him a while to find the right situation for being able to study and work on his art. He enrolled at the Slade School. He was patronized soon enough by major figures of the Bloomsbury set, Lady Adeline Morell, Edward Marsh, and he knew a number of writers gravitating around that group. His pacifism did cause some relational splits with these new friends of his, but he's a figure of importance at this time, and he was fictionalized in the novel Mandel, and also is the fictional character L'Oeurk in D.H. Lawrence's Women in Love, and Bombald in Aldous Huxley's Chrome Yellow. He was still quite a young man in his self-portrait on the left, and notice those bright, attractive colors of the tulips, very much a Bloomsbury interior kind of scene, I would think, related to the aestheticism of the blue and white vase and the multicolored fabric. And on the left here, the painting Merry-Go-Round, Lawrence called the best modern picture I have seen in 1916, and certainly this painting represents the pacifism of the artist. It's considered one of his masterworks.